Hi, welcome to Punchline Talks, the Christmas special. I'm Marco, and today my distinguished panel of business experts will pick out the top Punchline stories of the year and their top 3 businesses, all of whom have featured in 2023 on the Punchline website. Before I start, I'd just like to thank our fantastic sponsors, Hazelwood's Accountants and Business Advisors, who also provide me with my coffee every week as well. So a huge thank you to them. Okay, let's meet the panel. We've got Ruth Dooley, Chair of G First LEP and a partner of Hazelwood's. We've got Ian Mean, Director of Business West. Sam Holliday, Business Development Manager for the Federation of Small Business. Ollie Christie, CEO of Neon Play. Neill Ricketts, graphing guru and chair of the Forest of Dean Economic Partnership. Laurie Bell, CEO of Cheltenham Trust. And finally, never last but least, the CEO of Gloucestershire Community Foundation, Talitha Nelson. Welcome all of you to Punchline today. Right, okay, we're going to start by picking the story of the year. Okay, what was the one story that really caught your eye? And we wrote thousands of stories here, my Punchline team. So I'm going to start with you, Sam. What was your story of the year, please?
Well, I hate to sort of change the rules even before we started, but I'm not going to pick one story. I'm not going to pick one story because I think it's a marathon, not a sprint. And I've lived in Gloucester now for over 10 years, and I think the transformation I've seen in the city has been remarkable. And I've really enjoyed your coverage of particularly what's been happening at the Forum, the King's Square, all the quarters. You know, the city's going through transformation, and I kind of think you've steered me through it. You know, you've told me what's going on, when, and you also arranged a little Punchline trip to the top of the Forum, which I thought was fantastic. So I've enjoyed all the stuff you've done about the Forum and the transformation of Gloucester, and I really think you've brought it home to everybody. So that's my pick of the story.
Okay, thank you very so much for that, Sam. Okay, Ruth, what's your story of the year?
Well, you and I, Mark, we bump into each other at lots and lots of events, but one really stood out for me this year, and that was at Moog. That was in May. It was their soft opening, and you and I were there, and lots of other local people, as well as all the contingent from Moog, and they took us around the factory, and it was absolutely amazing. It hadn't been fitted out; they wouldn't have been able to do so had it been, but it's all a very controlled environment. But I think it's wonderful, the support that Moog has shown for the county and for Tewkesbury, where I live, which makes it even more special to me. And the building was excellent. It's got 2,400 solar panels. It's got rainwater harvesting system for the loos. We saw all this and all the facilities for the staff. It was a gym I would have wanted to go to. It was absolutely excellent. What I love about Moog is what they do as well. We all know about the roofs over Wimbledon, and what I learned when we were there was that they produce this little thing that's not much bigger than a tennis ball, and it's the thing that goes into almost all aircraft to take it's either the electronics to the hydraulics or the other way around, I can't remember, but it's a bit technical. But this little ball had 100 components in them, and they're all precision made. And it's part of our great tradition of advanced manufacturing in the county, with Renishaw and with Saffron landing systems and many others. So it's all part of our heritage, and it's wonderful to see their commitment with a £40 million new building in Tewkesbury.
Okay, thank you very much for that. All right, let's go to you, Ollie. What have you picked out for the story of the year that caught your attention?
I picked up a story from this month, actually, which was about Doddle, who is a small company who've just won a King's Award for Enterprise, which is it's a great award. It's the first King's Award, obviously, since the Queen died. We were very lucky at Neon Play to win a Queen's Award, and it really can transform the perception of your company from a local basis to a sort of national and even international basis. And it's a great story as well. And I love it when there's a small company. So it was a mother of 3. She was on holiday, and one of her children broke a fork or a spoon, and suddenly it was actually a lot easier for the child to hold the spoon. When it was broken, it was a different shape to a traditional spoon or fork. And so she's just created this company called Doddle, and essentially it's ergonomically designed cutlery, which is easier for children to learn to actually hold and to feed themselves. And it's gone from a sort of a £2,000 investment of our own money to a 20 million revenue company, and I just love it. And I'm a big fan of companies in Gloucestershire who expand way out of the county and the country. So I thought it was a nice little story.
No, totally agree with you. A huge successful story as well. Thanks ever so much for that. Okay, Talitha, we'll go to you next. What have you picked out?
Well, it was the 22nd of November, and your fantastic journalist, Simon Hacker, got in touch with me. And I was really impressed with the fact he picked up on a story which has absolutely infuriated me and continues to infuriate me. And that is the absolute lack of any acknowledgement of what the voluntary sector brings to the economy. And I think it was spurred by a post I'd done about one of the ministers saying disabled people must go out to work and do their duty, which was just so appalling. And he came to me when the autumn statement came out, and there was just some warm words for the charity sector. And what we see is actually last year, the voluntary sector put 23 billion into our economy. Now, in any conversation that goes around, there is never a discussion economically about bringing the sector into those discussions. And certainly it isn't even being included in the autumn statement. So his article was brilliant. Very few people seem to pick up on this. But 23 billion is larger than the sports and gambling sector and a third comparable to retail. It's an enormous amount of money and value it brings to society, and one that, if it disappeared, our systems and our society would completely crumble. So we must start bringing the three sectors together when we talk about economics and the value into society. So I thought it was a brilliant article, and very few picking up on this economic conversation.
And I know Simon really well, obviously, and I know that he'll watch your piece over and over again.
Well done, Simon.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, we go over to you, Neill. So what have you picked out for the pick of the punchlines?
Well, it was kind of a story that's been going on all year, actually. And I've got to admit, with the other guys here, I didn't realize the sheer quantity of stories that you've produced over the last year. And it was a really, really difficult job. The one for me is the changes at G First, which was, we kindly found out the fate of G First in November, but it's a story that you've covered all year. Obviously, with Ian and Ruth here, it's been a big part of our life over the last kind of 10 years, and it's tinged with a bit of sadness, as change always is. It is a really, really good opportunity for GCC to take it on. But we've kind of had this battle going on between kind of centralisation and decentralisation. It's very easy for areas like Gloucestershire to get forgotten about in the whole thing. But the thing that I loved about G First was the fact that I got to meet so many interesting people. Within the Forest of Dean, we've got large companies like KW Bell. We've got small companies like Andy Jones, who's a butcher down in Tiddenham. And I agree that we've kind of got to be a lot more inclusive. We tend, when we talk about business awards and business stories, we concentrate on the Renishaws and the big companies, but there's a lot of people out there grafting hard, having a really, really tough time. It doesn't matter whether you're a taxi driver, and a counsellor like Mark Turner, you're an education facility like SGS or Hartbury. The University of Gloucestershire is doing some really, really great stuff as well. Phil Vickery with his clothing brand at Raging Bull, Superdry, what a vast dimension of different companies. And we've got to be very, very inclusive. And we tend not to be, I think. And G First, they brought £120 million worth of investment into the county. And we've got some of those things that Sam was talking about as a result of that. And I just hope we don't lose that momentum that we've built up over the years.
Hopefully, thanks ever so much for that, Neil. I totally agree with you about G First. And also, you can see when you flick through the different types of stories, the complete diversity of sectors and size of companies. We don't just concentrate on the big stories, or the big businesses. Go on, I'll bring you in, Ruth, as chair of G First. Just
that the news is not all bad, in that there's been really great coordination with the county council. And most of the staff have now moved, or will be moving across from next April. In fact, the vast majority. And what's really important is all the functions that the LEP currently looks after are going to continue under the county council. So we'll have our growth hub still, we'll have our inward investment team, we'll have our business groups. It's going to be carrying on, but just in a different form.
Okay, thanks ever so much for that, Ruth. Okay, right, let's crack on. We've got Laurie. Thanks for that, Neill. Brilliant. Laurie, what have you picked out for us, please? The pick of the punchline of the year.
Yeah, that was a really difficult task, actually. I was tempted to go with the coronation because I thought that was a really good big event this year that all of us enjoyed and came as obviously we weren't expecting it at the beginning of the year. However, what I went with was a story that's been quite recent. You did it on the 7th of December, actually, but I think it's quite pertinent to Cheltenham, and that's about the headcount shrinkage at GCHQ. And the fact that now they're looking differently at how they recruit because the numbers have dropped. And I think you said they're the lowest they've been, certainly for the last 3 years. But they're finding it more and more difficult to recruit people. And I think it's that sort of that challenge with Cheltenham starting to look at itself as being the cyber central capital of the UK at the same time as GCHQ struggling to bring people in. And they're looking at now how do they attract? I mean, the BBC covered it the other morning, all about school children doing all the different tests and riddles and quizzes and everything to try and stimulate them to think about it. And if you go onto their website at the moment, they've got Christmas ones that we can all do, which all my team yesterday were having a go at. I have to say, I don't think any of us would be recruited. But yeah, they were saying that you have to be they're looking at neurodivergent and, people that are on the spectrum, because those are the types of people that will sit and absolutely want to code break and get underneath all of the different aspects of messaging and everything. So I think it's quite a fascinating story because they are part of the civil service, therefore their pay rates and salaries are aligned to that. And then you've got all these cyber companies sort of creeping in now all around the edges, and they're offering totally different salaries. So I think, the fact that GCHQ is looking to Manchester now to try and recruit people because there's a bigger density of population and neurodivergence by default, I think it's going to be a very interesting time for Cheltenham looking at, well, how does it really capitalise on that cyber central? Because they've got to get the right people working there.
I think it's a very, very good point, and it really surprised me as well. I'd just like to add the other thing about GCHQ. If you've got any friends who work there, they can't talk about their work at all. And that's quite difficult. And I'm real fond with that.
Yeah.
Ian, let's come over to you. Thanks ever so much for that, Laurie. Brilliant. Ian.
Yeah, I think,
pick of the punchline?
Mark, as an ex-editor like Sam, you've got a great operation because it's all about news, daily business news. That's very difficult, and you've covered over the last year on several occasions the whole Gloucester Quays situation. You and I were involved with the setting up of the Urban Regeneration Company. What was it, about 15 years ago now?
Yeah.
And you've run exclusive stories on several occasions about their sale. Now, this is a big story for Gloucester. Whether you like it or not, I think the Quays has certainly done a great deal for the city. What has been the problem, really, is that the work that was started then has not been continued and funded into the rest of the city. So the town centre is not as good as it should be. So what I'm saying, and I'm really supporting what Sam says, what you've had the guts to do is have a go at this story. And with the lack of what I would call any other professional media involved, you've sort of told people what's going on. And that to me is what you're all about.
Well, that's fantastic. And well, coming from you, Ian, that's really lovely. Thank you very much. I'm really touched. Right, okay, my pick of the story, and talking about professional journalism things, has to be our investigation to GL1 and the Aspire Trust that went bust, and very surprisingly. But also for me was the fact that we managed to drill into the fact that where did all the money go? That's what we looked into. And also how the chief executive and other management teams all got a massive pay rise of 9% when the company was failing. And I was very proud of the fact that we could actually bring that and take it to the council, and actually different media outlets had to change the narrative from our story. So for that That's my pick of the hundreds and hundreds of stories. And I'd just like to take the point of a lot of people see me fronting Punchline, but actually I have a fantastic team behind it. So I just want to say thanks ever so much to those guys. Okay, right. Really excited bit. The top 3 businesses of the year. Now, I don't know about you, but it's been extremely difficult. And I'm gonna start with, who shall I start with? I'll tell you what, let's start with you, Talitha.
Oh,
We're going to go from 3rd to 2nd to 1st place. And we've all got our magic envelopes for the 1st place. We can all hold them up, please. They should be all sealed. So I don't know, haven't discussed it with any of you, your top 3, okay? So let's start with you, Talitha, and we'll work around 3rd place only. Who have you picked, please? We'll try and keep it tight to around 1 minute to 2 minutes each, if that's okay. Okay, who have you picked, please?
so I've put them in 3rd place because it's the Food Docs, which technically isn't a business, it's L&R Group. And I'm so excited to see the next generation of entrepreneurs. I am so, having bought my own business at 32, I can just see these young, amazing entrepreneurs with these brilliant businesses. So our house has just opened up with a sibling gin, guys, you know, young entrepreneurs, Hetty's Place, Hot Kettle, Holy Gelati, Bellamy, Green Door. They're all young, amazing entrepreneurs. And I'm so excited. And we've gone there and it's brilliant. And you have featured it a number of times. You've got 2, 3, 4 articles. You're featuring these young entrepreneurs and it's just so exciting. And if it wasn't for you featuring it, I probably wouldn't know it was there, to be honest. You know, you're the only one really singing about this properly and really promoting it. And the moment the Hot Kettle opened up, we went and had a beer and sat there and went, oh my God, this is amazing. Look at the views and it's wonderful. So that is my 3rd place, only because the L&R Group probably isn't particularly well known as the developers, but as a concept, as a whole business and collection of businesses, I would have had them 1st place, but it's not a business I can hang the hat on. But it's 3rd place because, well, I think it's just amazing.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm going to go to Ian next. Ian, what have you picked out, please? Your
3rd
3rd
place
choice.
for me is a small business. Like Neill was saying, this is in the forest called Cinderhill Farm, and many of you may have been absolutely enchanted by the Channel 4 series on Gloucester services. Cinderhill Farm, run by Deborah Flint and her husband, in an old, what was a double garage. They're now producing 600,000 of their amazing sausage rolls a year. And as a direct result of the promotion that TV series gave them, they're now looking at some major investment, over £1 million. Now, very quickly, a small business like this, with the right push, the right promotion, can do things. It is just an amazing place. You know, St Breville's pretty deep in the forest for anyone who knows the area. And I think Neill will support me. This is just the sort of business there is in Gloucestershire. We've got something like, Mark, just under 30,000 SMEs in Gloucestershire. So they're the heartland. So that's my 3rd.
And fantastic sausage rolls. Can't beat them. Okay, Ollie. Thanks ever so much, Ian. Ollie, what's your 3rd choice, please?
My 3rd choice is Cotswold Distillery. They are an amazing company. They're the largest producer of English whiskey in the UK. I love the fact they've got Cotswolds on the label, and also by TripAdvisor, they've been nominated the most popular whiskey distillery in the UK for the top whiskey attraction for tourists. And I think it's fantastic that this local company is now, you know, shouting on a global scale. And so that is my number 3.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, Neill, we're going to go over to you next. What's your top?
So my number three. So I've gone for a joint number 3, a bit like Sam. I've abused the rules. I couldn't make my mind up, so I thought I'll just have both of them. So they're for 2 different reasons. They are forest-based businesses because that is the centre of the universe. So I've got Jones Company doing their vertical farming in the building that I did my apprenticeship in. I was involved in the first reincarnation of that building, the first use of it. And I think it's just simply fantastic. They're supplying Asda with their herbs and their spices out an old industrial unit that, to all intents and purposes, had died a few years ago. And I think it's £24 million worth of investment. It's absolutely incredible for the area, and it'll be a big part of the forest. And the other joint winner is SPP Pumps in Colford. No one knows anything about them. They just get on with their work. They have absolutely zero kind of exposure. They turn over £82 million. Their sales have gone up by over 10%. And this is in Colford, you know, and right opposite the factory that make all your fruit drinks and everything like that. I think there's so many hidden treasures in the forest that, you know, we need to do a much better job as the FEP that I chair in just promoting these amazing businesses. I think they're absolutely incredible.
No, thank you ever so much, Neill. Couldn't agree more. And I've been to all of those places, by the way, obviously, delivering my magazines over the years. Okay, let's go over to you, Laurie. What have you picked out for third place?
So in third place, I wanted to pick someone, but I couldn't find that you'd featured them this year, but you have featured them previously. So I've got a tenuous link. The one that I wanted to pick, I'm just going to say it, is Gloucester Brewery, because I actually think that Jeff is doing the most amazing job over there of reinvigorating it and trying to get it back into profit. And certainly everything that he's doing there in terms of the programming of entertainment, the different offer now on the distillery with the gin, is, you know, I'm with Ollie that there's a huge business now in and around Cheltenham and Gloucester of new drinks companies. So what I did do was I picked Cellar Supplies. So actually, because you've covered Cellar Supplies, that are a growing distribution company based in Elmstone Business Park, just outside Cheltenham. They are now a supplier to, you know, almost most hospitality venues in and around Cheltenham and Gloucester. And they do supply to us, and they supply to us from Gloucester Brewery. And they also have just supported a brand new setup of Clavel and Hind, which is a new pub, distillery, brewery, and they're now up and running as well, and very, very new and doing really well. So I think for me, it's Cellar Supplies, because I think they're in the background. They don't get a lot of mention ever because they're the distributor, but they're making a lot of things happen.
No, it's great to feature them, actually. No, thank you very much. And I'm a big fan of Gloucester Brewery, by the way. And I was there. An old favourite of some of us was Bev Hawes, who used to be the business editor. I was having a beer with him, Gloucester Brewery, on Wednesday, actually. Okay.
With me, Mark.
Oh, yeah. Right. Anyway, go over to you, Ruth. What have you picked out for third place, please?
Well, we're talking about small businesses in Gloucestershire. And the small businesses that grow are the ones that I think are absolutely amazing. There was a business that started as one man and his van 40 years ago in Gloucestershire. Now it has 800 staff and 21 branches throughout England and Wales. And that is the marvellous Clarkson Evans, which is one of the UK's leading electrical contractors now. They have wired 24,000 new homes last year, and they also now are into solar PV and also battery storage systems. But also they encourage the next generation big time. They took on 180 new apprenticeships last year. Absolutely phenomenal. So hats off to Clarkson Evans.
There we go. Hats off. Okay. Right. Thank you ever so much. Right. Okay, Sam. What's your third place?
Well, a similar theme to Ruth, really, because obviously you would expect me to be supporting small business, but this isn't a small business. But I talk to small businesses. I've talked to young people who said to me, "I don't want to be in a small business. I want to be in a big business." And I said, "How do you think big businesses start?" They start as a small business and they grow. And this is a classic example of a company that was very small and is now a world leader. And it just seems to get better and better. And also, they've not forgot their roots. They're very involved in a campaign we've got called Together Gloucestershire, which is about trying to improve local procurement. And most importantly of all, perhaps, it's their 50th anniversary. So for being a world-class company and for being a stellar example of great products and great people, I chose Renishaw.
Renishaw. Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Again, a fantastic company, goes without saying. They might feature in someone's top one, don't know. Thank you for that, Sam. My business, or third runner-up, shall we say, has to be Ontic. Ontic itself is a phenomenal, successful aviation business. And they actually have increased their employee numbers to 500 now across 2 sites. But the reason I've clinched them in 3rd place is they actually won their biggest licensing contract ever this year as well. And so for me, they're just somebody that has come out of the woodworks quite recently, actually, over the last 3 or 4 years. They've got 2 sites here. So if 3rd place for me is on tape. Okay, that's where we are for the 3rd place runner-up. So we'll start with you, Ollie. Who have you picked out in 2nd place?
So my 2nd place is Forest Green Rovers Football Club. And I just think, I know they're having a tough season this season, but last season, this summer, they secured promotion to League One for the very first time in the club's 133-year history. And I just think they're doing so many things right. And I know the world's in a tricky place at the moment, but obviously with Dale Vince, their whole sort of eco-sustainability angle, the new design for their stadium is literally a work of art. You know, it'll be the first wooden football stadium in the year when it's hopefully built in the coming years. They've won a Green Sport Award from the BBC, and I just think they're just doing so much right. And it's great that they're shouting for something different in the rather over-commercialised world of football. So Forest Green Rovers is my number 2.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Ollie. Okay, we're going to you next, Ian. What's your 2nd choice, please?
Right, my 2nd choice is rather different. It's Gloucester Cathedral.
Oh.
This is the iconic landmark of Gloucester, isn't it? And in fact, you could say of Gloucestershire. It costs something like £7,200 a day to actually run. A lot of us may have been there. I used to be there sort of 3 or 4 times a week at one stage, various things. A friend of mine, funeral service, Ken Nottage, who ran Gloucester Rugby for some years. There was a service there earlier this week. It's an amazing organisation. It has the actually world famous fan vaulted ceiling, which appeared in Harry Potter. They do generate actually quite considerable amounts of money from particularly the Harry Potter filming. But I think we don't think of the cathedral enough when we think of Gloucester. It's always there. It's always a great part of this county.
Totally agree with you. And I think it's, well, how many people work there? It's like 500 odd, isn't it? It's quite amazing.
Yeah.
Volunteers for the rest of it as well. Thank you ever so much for that. Let's go over to Laurie next. Laurie, what have you picked out in 2nd place, please?
So I've done something slightly different. I've gone for a retrospective award, which I'm not sure if everyone will agree with, but I think it's I'd like to put in 2nd place is the Mayflower and Chung Kong, because he's now sold up the Mayflower, and I don't think there is anybody that won't know Chun and what he does for the community, what he does for charities, what he did for networking, what he still does. And I just think, so the award is, I've said the Mayflower, but really it's Chun, but because he's stepped away from it and it's now moved on and it's reopened, I just think it's a shame not to acknowledge everything that he did for the business community. So I put him as 2nd.
I totally agree with that, actually.
Yeah, great guy.
Always did it with a smile.
Yeah.
Smiling, coming towards you.
Amazing man.
And he's also not going to be somebody who gets picked up in your normal awards, if you know what I mean. Thank you ever so much for that, Laurie. I totally agree with that one. Okay, let's go over to you, Talitha. Who have you picked out for in 2nd place, please?
Well, I picked out Stagecoach. I mean, we've got some amazing businesses in the county, but obviously my sector is working in partnership across all sectors, and obviously I represent the voluntary sector. And Rachel Galliamassi, the MD, I think is a really impressive leader. And actually, they've partnered with an amazing charity called Night Stop, and what they provide is emergency beds and rooms for homeless, you know, these young people that are facing homelessness, and it has absolutely skyrocketed. And they have set up a really meaningful partnership, not just a sort of lip service, here's some money, go away. This is very much about a really deep and meaningful partnership that's actually now up for a UK award. And what they've done in the partnership is give free bus tickets and to those people who are associated with Night Stop, so they can travel around the county for free. And it's not always about money, but it's about resources and what can we give back that actually doesn't impact you necessarily financially. And actually free travel and access for young people to get around the county is absolutely vital. We have a huge problem with access to services in a rural community, in a rural county, and where young people are completely left behind. So for me, this partnership is really exciting. It's absolutely brilliant, the impact it's making. And Heathrow have sponsored the UK Bus Awards, and they're up for that award, and hopefully they win it. But I just think they're a really impressive organisation. It's commercially well run, it's successful, great leadership team, and they're creating really meaningful partnerships that's having big impact. So they're my second place.
Okay, thank you very much. And run by Rachel Galamasi as well, who can drive a double-decker bus like the best of them. Absolutely fantastic. Very quickly, Ian, you want to come in?
Well, I just want to support that. They supported Organ Donation this year incredibly by printing our organ donation messages on bus tickets. Simple idea, great idea, and I support what Talitha's saying. Great, great company.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you ever so much. Employ an awful lot of people as well. I think 600
Yeah.
people. Okay, Neill, I'm going to go over to you next. What Forest of Dean company have you picked out in second place?
I don't think there's many companies in the county, let alone the Forest of Dean, that have stumped up $100 million for an investment into something quite challenging, underwater living. So for me, second place goes to Deep. I think it's an absolutely unbelievable project. It's still steeped in secrecy, and I got a good insight with the FEP during a visit from the Western Gateway. What incredible vision, and there's no doubt that research will be absolutely important, and it's going to be it's going to be a global center. This is big ambition, big vision, a big pot of money, and some real drive to get it done. I think it's just unbelievable.
Totally agree with you. It could be an absolute game changer over there.
Yeah.
Thanks for that, Neill. And it's still not really on everybody's radar. I don't think
Never heard of it.
You probably don't even know that they've bought the local hotel, and that they're still the ambition is huge. And when it finally becomes public knowledge how big their plans are, it's going to fundamentally change that end of Chepstow and the lower end of the forest.
Well, they would know they bought the hotel, because if they'd read Punchline, they'd know all about it. Okay, right. Okay, Sam, what have you picked out? Second place, please. Then we go to Ruth.
Well, a bit like Ian, because I know it's one of his passions as well. I'm really conscious of the fact that Gloucester has got the youngest population in Gloucestershire, and in fact one of the youngest populations in the southwest. There's a lot of young people here, so I like to see businesses that help and support businesses. And these are two businesses based in the same building who've blown me away a bit, really. And I've visited both, and they're very good. And it's the Music Works and Jolt. And for those that don't know them, Jolt is like a centre for young entrepreneurs. So it's a shared working space. And I went and visited it, and the little businesses they got in there are brilliant, really creative, really doing very well. And the Music Works is exactly what it says on the tin. It brings young people in of all different types of music, cross diversity, really good range, and it teaches them all about the music industry, which is one of Britain's best successful economic drivers. And I think it's brilliant, and we've got this in the centre of Gloucester, and both deserve as much publicity and promotion as possible. So Music Works and Jolt for me.
Okay, thank you very much.
Definitely.
Totally agree. Very, very good as well. Okay, Ruth, you're the last person, the second runner-up. What have you picked for us?
Okay, well, this is a firm that's been in Gloucestershire for over 100 years, and 150 out of our 500 staff members are apprentices. So we really do support the younger generation and encourage them into a career in accountancy. And earlier this year, Martin, you did a really good series of interviews with the apprentices in the county, and you interviewed our very own Becky Patton from our legal team. And I watched the interview again last night, and it was brilliant. She is just such a lovely person. She's exactly the sort of person we want to bring on board. And not only do we provide an outstanding service to all our clients and have fantastic sector experience and offering, But this is what we say about attracting new students. We have great career opportunities, stunning office locations, hybrid working, wealth and well-being support, sustainability, volunteering, and charity fundraising, as well as great social events. And it's our Christmas party tonight. Yay!
So hold on a second.
Yeah.
So you picked Hazelwood as the second.
Second, yes.
Next year we won't be able to do this. Okay, but this year we'll because you're so cheeky, Ruth. We'll have Hazelwoods, who are wonderful sponsors, by the way. Did I mention they are sponsors?
Might have done.
Advisors, who make me great coffee every week. Oh no, we've done that bit. Okay, right. Thank you ever so much. My second place. It has to. Well, there's so many different ones, but it has to be Hercules Site Management. Cotswold-based labour supply company was launched in 2008 from Brusque Cormad's bedroom. They've grown it into a substantial, huge business. They've recently won a huge contract as well with Brighton-based. They've recently acquired Brighton-based Future Building Recruitment Company as well. They have turnover increased 60 million. Sorry, the turnover is now 80 million. And they saw an increase of business of 60% last year. And they are a company that is really rocketing as well. And based, well, a lot of people don't realise in South Cerney over there in the business park, tucked away really. And they are really going guns blazing. So my hat off to them. They're my second place this year, which was extremely difficult to pick somebody else out. Okay, right. Okay, we're going to go to the first now. Here we go. Coming up to the end, we've only got like 10 minutes left of the show, so we will have to be a little bit quick. So we've all got our envelopes. Neill, I'm going to start with you. Who have you picked out of your business of the year, please?
So I think sometimes when we're talking about business, we don't talk about the whole equality and the whole kind of diversity of the businesses we have. And I think we forget sometimes that these organizations, a bit like Ian was saying about the cathedral, they're properly big organizations, you know. And so for me, I've gone for Hartbury. Okay, I've spent a lot of time over at the Forest of Dean's very own university. I spent a lot of time working with Russell, and I think that again, I'm all for the big vision. And when you go over there, the most important thing for me is the difference it makes to the students and that enthusiasm that they put through for sport, equine, you know, just the sheer will to succeed from what has been a very challenging story for them. If you sit down with the management and you talk about how they grew from the 1960s, the investment from Gloucester County Council, and you go there and you look at the campus now, fantastic rugby side, golf academy, you know, it's just fantastic. You go there and you cannot be anything other than impressed with everything that's going on there. I think, and they're a huge business. They employ hundreds of people, and they are creating our next workforce, which I think is just, you know, the best thing in the world. Okay,
thank you ever so much for that. And you are right, fantastic business. And I've got a little video to release of me riding one of their horses very shortly, which was quite good. Well,
the only thing that popped into my head then was Vladimir Putin riding a horse. That's the first thing that popped into my head.
And I can see the way that would happen.
That's going to get AI'd. It's going to get AI'd.
Yeah, it's going to get AI'd now, aren't it? Please don't do that. Laurie, what have you picked out, please? Your business of the year.
So I've gone slightly different again. I've gone for a charity rather than a business, because these days all charities are businesses, actually. So I promise you it's not the Cheltenham Trust. I'm not going to pull our name out.
You're not going to plug it.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that, but it is close to our hearts at the moment. So, and Mark, you will know this, I have picked Emily's Gift. Mm-hmm. And I have done that because I think that it's quite sad that the NHS can provide psychologists in all of the other hospitals in the region, but not in Gloucester, to support families and children in particular that have cancer, to deal with all of those issues and that support that they need. And hats off to Julie Kent, who has decided to raise in 1 year 500,000 to pay for a psychologist for 10 years so that those families will get that support. And the Cheltenham Trust, as a charity, for the first time ever, is now collaborating with another charity. And we've decided to collaborate with Emily's Gift, but also with Gloucester Brewery, who have just recently launched Emily's Gin. And we are doing a gin and cabaret night in February, on February the 8th, to raise money to hopefully get to the final part of the target, because she's over 400,000 now. She hasn't got far to go, and she's only got a few more months to do it. So that's why we're collaborating. I think it's good to put something back to the community, even though we're a charity and we do that all the time. We want to do a bit more. So for us, it's using our venues, bringing together what we do well, which is events, and supporting a great cause. So that's why I've picked Emily's Gift, because I think it's really something that's special and needed.
Okay, big clap to them. I think we should clap everybody, by the way.
Yeah, I think that's right.
And she is a force to be reckoned with, isn't she? Let's be
Yeah.
honest with you, Ken.
Yeah.
If you watch the social media stuff going on and what she's doing, really, it absolutely is amazing. Okay, I'm going to go over to you, Ollie, based there in Cirencester. So what have you picked out for us? The business of the year, sir.
So I was at the O2 the other day watching Madonna, which was average, I would say, as a concert.
Ooh.
And when I was with a mate, and when we were walking through all the retail premises, I went, "Oh, that's a Gloucestershire-based company." So my winner is ProCook.
ProCook, excellent.
Because I just think that it's an incredible company. I've personally bought stuff from there, so that they're good quality products. They've just launched their 60th outlet in Watford. They've done a new 167,000 square foot distribution centre. I don't know how big that is, but it sounds massive. And I just think they're an incredible company. And they're Gloucestershire based in Gloucester, but retailing all around the UK. So they're my number one.
Again, a fantastic business. And I've been to that wonderful warehouse as well, by the way, and had a good look around. And they sent me a free knife, by the way, which I managed to slice a finger off with my top of my nail the very first time I used it. And as an ex-chef, it was quite embarrassing. Anyway, so thank you ever so much for that. Okay, let's go to you, Ruth. What have you picked out, please, for your first business of the year?
My winner is Zero Avia.
Zero Avia, yes.
And this is a lovely picture. Do you like my picture of the aeroplane? I'm really rubbish.
That's very good.
This is all about saving the planet, because let's face it, that's probably about the most important issue we all face. And it's about green flying. And G1st LEP's inward investment team brought Zero Avia to Cotswold Airport. And what they've been doing since they arrived, and you cover this a lot in Punchline, is absolutely phenomenal. They've actually had their first 10 test flights this year, and they've all been successful. And they have signed up with so many different people. And the great one for me was announced in November, which was signing up with Ecotricity and EcoJet. So that's two of our amazing green businesses in the county coming together to help create green flying, which is just what we all really desperately need, especially those of us who like flying and really feel a bit guilty about it. And as Dale Vince said, this is an opportunity for guilt-free flight carrying on. But I think actually the best quote came from somebody called Punchline, who said, "It's great ideas fuel our economic future. And thanks to Zero Avia and Ecotricity, Gloucestershire is staying ahead of the flight pack and showing it's a prime place for investment in industry." I mean, that's absolutely brilliant words, isn't it? I mean, what a fantastic quote.
I don't know who wrote that. I don't know who wrote it. But anyway, big clap to them. No, totally agree. Thank you very much. Okay, let's go over to you, Sam. What have you picked out, please?
Right. Well, I think Gloucestershire's got an amazing business community. It really has. And I think I like organisations that bring everybody together, which is why I was also a massive fan of G1st and will continue to be a massive fan of the Growth Hub. But there's one business, if you like, that to me is the glue between all the Gloucestershire businesses, that has been a disruptor in some ways and has carried on when a lot of people are leaving the sector. So I make absolutely no apology for saying my business of the year is Punchline.
Oh,
Oh.
Hey!
I think you don't realise, Mark, that so many people this week. I think Reach have announced across the country a lot of business editors are going to be losing their jobs. You know, there's a perception that there's no money in business reporting, but every day you provide news about what's going on. You provide advice. You give people a point in direction. You bring us all together. I know a lot of the people I know in Gloucestershire because of you and this show and watching it and being part of this show. And I just think what you do is amazing. And I think Ian might want to say something as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just support Sam, Mark. I mean, I came to Gloucestershire 20 odd years ago to edit The Citizen. Times have changed, particularly in the last few years. It's all about stories and it's all about talking to people. We don't have that in local media. You've in effect taken that over and do it exceptionally well. Business to me has always been a great story, and Gloucester's a great place to do business, as we've heard. So, you know, keep up the great work. This is tough, tough, tough. We know that. But, you know, without you, as Sam says, we'd be poorly off. So thank you.
Well, thank you very much. I'm quite touched. Okay.
I concur.
Okay, right, Talitha. Thank you. Talitha, what have you picked for us, please?
So really a bit on that same thing that Mark and I have talked about, the business community, which is absolutely under the cosh. You know, we're in a real crisis. Well, it's just perma crisis. We continue to lurch from crisis to crisis. I think my concentration in the county at the moment is about poverty. We've launched the Poverty Hurts appeal because a third of children are living in poverty, and it's the worst we've ever seen in modern history. And that is in our county, on our doorsteps. And so we absolutely do need to work together. And what Punchline has done is supported over 200 charities now. And as a very small business, giving free editorial consistently costs Mark money, and it costs businesses money to give back. And we must recognise the giving back. And I think not enough businesses really talk about their giving back because they're slightly embarrassed. I think if I talk about the fact we're giving back, it's a bit embarrassing.
Oh, she's frozen.
Oh, we lost her.
We lost her.
Just before the big announcement.
I know. Talk about a drum roll.
Like a tease, isn't it?
That's a little teaser thing. What are we going to do? What? Anyway, I think we'll let Talitha sit there for a few seconds, and we'll go over to you, Ian. Okay. So what have you picked out for us, mate?
Right, I've picked out my winner, which is Moog. Following what Ruth was saying, perhaps one of the biggest challenges we've got for business in Gloucestershire is skills. That's their golden thread. It actually runs right through that company. This is an international company, Mark, that has 14,000 employees worldwide. And all their investment, their massive investment, as Ruth has mentioned, is actually going into Tewkesbury, where the turnover is about 50 million. They produce these servo valves, which are literally part of everything that flies. And the big thing for me is they've been going for 45 years in Tewkesbury, and whole generations of families are employed there. That is what we're all about. And the other thing, Tewkesbury currently is the second most dynamic economy in terms of a borough council in the whole of the UK. So this is an important company, but also they believe in skills, they believe in the community.
Fantastic business. Totally agree with you there. And we got Talitha back.
I'm so sorry. I
Just
can't believe I
before the big
disappeared
reveal.
just at my very moment. So the Benefact
I think
Group,
because he wanted to be last. That's what it's all about, isn't it?
well, the Benefact Group, they've got a number of businesses, and the Ecclesiastical Insurance is the best insurer in the country. Because of their ethical ways of working, they're actually hugely successful and profitable. And they've just won in the top 50 of insurers, the best insurer again. and their customers have an 83% success rate of satisfaction. And everything they do right the way through the business of the culture in their business is about ethical investing, ethical ways of working. And they've given over 200 million. They're the third largest corporate donor in the country. They've given over 200 million back into our economy, into our voluntary sector. And locally, as a large business, which could stay anonymous, they do a huge amount of giving space, support and money into Gloucestershire, of which we would very much miss. It's a huge amount of money they give back because they can, and because they have a business model which is successful. So as a large business, they're a real I guess a great example of big businesses giving back, not just locally, but country-wide, and their businesses are award-winning. And the fact that without this money, our sector would really struggle. Our sector now is experiencing a 50% increase in need, and they're experiencing nearly a 50% decrease in income. Now, as a sector, we are absolutely under the cosh, and it is so important to inspire giving back. They've given 4,000 hours in voluntary support as well. So we would say, Mark, from small businesses and the amazing work that you do, Gloucester Brewery have supported over 200 charities with the work they do. It's absolutely vital that all sectors work together, because actually, if we support our voluntary sector, it means that society is a much healthier place and everybody benefits, because you get a doctor's appointment, you'll get into an A&E, and you'll get into the public services you need to access, because the voluntary sector protects them all. So just a massive big shout out to the business community for all you do.
Thank you very much. So it's the Benefact Group is your winner of the year. So my winner of the year, which I shall open here, is a company, a gentleman that I actually interviewed earlier in the year in March, and it actually goes to, they don't really stick their head above the parapet too much, especially over the last year. It has to be Freeman's Event Management. And the reason for that is just the way that they have managed to turn the whole business around since the pandemic. It's been absolutely breathtaking. This was a company that was basically on its knees. I don't know if you know, but during the coronation, they actually provided the food for the troops. They behind the scenes as well, and they've expanded into Europe as well. Stephen Freeman has managed to keep his feet firmly on the ground as he's grown this massive company, employing hundreds of people in the local area and thousands across the UK as well. For me this year, that's why I picked them. So big applause to them. And that gives us really oh my goodness, who is going to win the business of the year? So I didn't tell you about this little trophy
special cup
that I've got that I've got here. Okay, it's a little bit wobbly, but hey ho. So I've got to go through the list. So I've got, and do you know what? We've hardly picked anybody the same, isn't it?
Yeah.
I love Neill is lobbying for very, very difficult there.
There is only one company that's been mentioned twice, and that's Moog. I don't think many
but in different
mentioned twice. I just mentioned twice. That was all. But as amazing as a county that we can all come together and come up with three organisations or businesses, and they're all different except that one overlap. It's phenomenal.
So unfortunately, then what I said in the very beginning, it is going to be down to my guys also who also picked out the businesses, and out of the four of my other reporters, that who I asked to take part in this as well as myself, I have to announce that the winner, if you don't mind, of the drum roll of the Punchline 2023 has to go to Zero Avia.
Oh,
so that's you know who is the overall winner this year. But I think, to be fair, let's be honest about it, I think all the companies involved are such an eclectic mix. I'd just like to say thank you to the wonderful panel, all of you as well. Thank you for one of the things you said about Punchline as well. I was actually quite really touched with that as well. And to all of you watching, if you like the show, please like, share, and subscribe. We'll be back again on I think it's the 12th of February. But for now, we're all going to have a nice break and have a lovely Christmas. And see you all soon. Thank you for watching this Punchline. Bye.